And I have a link down below in the description box for you to check out if you care about the interview with CM Punk and Ariel is his name. Ariel Helwani, I believe. Actually, it's right there on the side. And this was actually just a couple of days ago on April the 1st. I'm an hour and a half in. There's 20 minutes left, but I've heard enough that I still wanted to just kind of share my thoughts with the basic premise of the interview without having to listen to it for 2 hours. However, I strongly suggest if you even clicked on this video, you remotely care about CM Punk, you may see him in a different light. I don't, because I always knew that this is who he was. But sometimes some people have a misconstrued notion of what he's all about. So back in May of 2023, CM Punk had approached the building, I think in northern Connecticut. I forget where the head office is. I think that's where he was going, where he got thrown out of the building. And he just wanted to chat. It wasn't anything malicious or anything like that. And then that, like November, like 5 days before Survivor Series, Nick Khan, not Tony Khan, and I don't know if they're related, but Nick Khan is in charge. I think he's the CEO, the acting CEO now of WWE. Not the same guy as Tony Khan, like I said, for AEW. Like 5 days before Survivor Series said that he contacted him. And then Triple H wanted to chat with him on FaceTime. Didn't want to just talk to him on the phone. Wouldn't have minded seeing him in person, but I guess they were busy. Absolutely, actually, like wanted to see his face on FaceTime, which was really nice, and they got to bury the hatchet there. They talked about a lot of stuff, basically water under the bridge. Lawyers signed some stuff, and then the next thing you know, within less than a week from Survivor Series, he's on TV. Says that the backstage area nowadays is a much more laid-back environment. People are less cutthroat-like. It's not as crazy as it used to be. You'd have all these top-notch superstars. Not that you don't have any now, but back then it was just like, I don't know, it was just the attitude was literally different and friendlier than when he left now from 10 years ago. So he's very, very happy with that. And he does say that the company is better off without Vince because Ariel asked him about the whole Vince thing, and he's like, you know what? It's kind of indefensible. You see the text, he left a lot of paper trail, and then based on kind of like what he was saying at one point, which kind of goes back to what I said, when you look at the Attitude Era, the Divas, and the pillow fights and all that kind of stuff, you just kind of get this inkling of like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden you hear these things and you're like, you're shocked. You're like, oh my God, but you're not 100% surprised, if that makes any sense. Because there were kind of like signs and stuff like that. There isn't always signs, and he talks about that. And it's true, there isn't always a sign. But he wasn't really like nervous mentioning his name. He also ran into Vince and gave him a hug back in like November, December. Hasn't really spoken to him since. And the original plan at WrestleMania 40 was him versus Seth Rollins for the championship belt before he got injured. And then he talked about AEW, saying it's not a real company, at least not the kind of company that he wants to be a part of, where it's about selling tickets. It's just about putting on good matches. But there's a difference because of the audience that you cater to. There's some things that you do on television that'll get you a bit of a buzz, a bit of a pop, but it'll only take you so far. It won't take you on like the grandest stage with the biggest numbers and all that kind of stuff. He says AEW is more about just having fun, putting on good matches. And quite frankly, because Tony Khan already has so much money, he can just keep pumping into it. He's like, that's great if you want to do that. He wishes legitimately everybody there well. He's not nearly as crazy. Well, he's not crazy at all as you might think he is. CM Punk, that is, because Tony Khan did kind of slander him, and I do believe it when he's like, I feared for my life and all that. There was just a lot of bullshit there in terms of the beef that he had with Jack Perry. I think his nickname is Jungle Boy in AEW. He said that he actually quit AEW before wrestling Samoa Joe in 2023 at All In. in London, in Europe, overseas, over there, somewhere far. And he didn't walk out because Ariel asked him, you didn't walk out? He's like, no, I'm a professional. I didn't want to insult Joe, all the people that I do respect backstage, all the superstars, all the fans that came. And I'm sure, he's like, I want to be a humble guy, but I'd like to think some of them came to see me. And so he didn't want to do like a Sasha Banks and just walk out. He wanted to finish his match, and he actually asked Tony Khan originally to let him go, but Tony wouldn't let him go. Yeah, this is where I said that AEW is not really about making money. He just thought he was coming in to help the business, and I guess that wasn't quite what it was all about. And another thing I want to mention about Jack Perry, trying to remember off the top of my head because I forgot to put it in my notes. The incident with Jack Perry allegedly started some while back, not too far back, where Tony Schiavone approached CM Punk and said, look, can you help me handle this guy? He's like, okay. Apparently, Jack Perry really wanted to smash out a window of a rental car. Something to do with, it would be fun to do, then he wouldn't have to drive. Sorry, then he wouldn't, or he'd be able to fly to Canada. He didn't want to drive to Canada or something like that. Can't remember all the details about that. But essentially, CM Punk approached him, is the point of the story, and said, look, that's some shit that you could do on Wednesday night. Again, I don't know what that is. But on Saturday, this ain't going to fly. You shouldn't do it. And Jack Perry was cool with it, but then after, I guess he kind of took it personally as being told like what to do or whatever. And that created some heat and whatnot backstage. So it's not like CM Punk was just going wild backstage, sucker punching people and all this kind of stuff. And I do believe it when I listen to him talk. And it's not because I love the guy and I've been a huge fan of his forever. It's not because we have the same name, practically the same birthday, we're the same age. Nothing to do with that. I like mentioning that, but like I said before, unfortunately for me, that's where the similarities end. I truly do believe him that he is what he says he is, because there is a part of me, I'm not going to lie, because you hear all these things. Oh my God, CM Punk did this, CM Punk did that, because he could be a little controversial sometimes. And then you start wondering, oh my God, did he really do that? And I was a little bit disappointed in the beginning because I was like, oh man, it just seems like he's always getting into kind of trouble or something like that. But ultimately, he cleared the air here, and he was like, look, it really wasn't as nearly as big of a deal as people make this out to be, what happened backstage, and with Samoa Joe telling me to stop it when he was having his little tiff-taff, whatever it's called, with Jack Perry backstage, and Tony Khan saying he feared for his life was just complete bullshit, and then that slanders him, makes him look bad. It made me, kind of, no offense, look at CM Punk a little bit like, wow, this guy's wild. But now seeing him here, it actually reassured what I was hoping the whole time, is that it was blown out of proportion bullshit. He just seems to have sometimes a lot of drama follow him. And to be honest with you, in real life, I kind of feel like that's happened to me too a lot. Like if I were to tell you stories of just things I've been through, you would either not believe it, or you would honestly think, come on, man. Karma's not that big of a bitch. There's just no way you never instigated any of this shit, and you just somehow are a magnet for it, and you've never started any of it. But I'm telling you. And I feel like a lot of that happens with him. He's not a bad person. He's very abrasive with his words, wears his heart on his sleeve. He's just very honest, very blunt with how he feels about anything. And just somehow, gets into a little bit of trouble, gets into a bit of controversy. But as he says, believe what you want, because ultimately in the end, it's helping him make more money because people are talking about him and all this sort of stuff. So there you go. And then Ariel asked him, what exactly is success? Well, that's actually what CM Punk said. He's like, do you think AEW has a chance of ever being like more successful? Do you think they'll be around for a long time? And that's where CM Punk was like, listen, for as much time as Tony wants to put money into the business, I think it'll be around. But he raised a good point. I mean, what is success? It's kind of like when I talk about my illustrious YouTube career on my 3 channels. Am I successful? It kind of depends on how you look at it. Are you able to put gas in your tank for your car or your truck or motorcycle, whatever? Are you able to eat 3 square meals, put a roof over your head comfortably? That's a different level of success, and he was able to do that when he was in the Indies. So, right, like there's different levels, right? And that's why people usually say, without trying to sound like a biased, whatever you want to call it, fanboy, but generally speaking, the WWE, especially when you're like headlining WrestleManias and shit like that, that is the big time. That is like the Super Bowl of wrestling. That's like a big, big deal. AEW have their level as well. But even my feeling, and it's not an insult, is that WWE as a whole, as a company, is more like business oriented. They're a bigger company. Better subjective. For me, they're a better company. But that's, again, just like he was saying, that's not shitting on AEW or any other promotion either. He wishes everybody well. Like I said, I still very much enjoy AEW. He got to be friends with, Sting and all these different people that he probably wouldn't have met had he not gone to AEW. He enjoyed his time there. It's just it wasn't for him, and that's why he feels like WWE was his real home. And it's really not that big of a deal, again, to prefer one promotion over another. I mean, my channel kind of shows that. I very rarely talk about AEW, but when I do, I'm not dunking on them, going, I hope they fail. They're a piece of crap. Tony Khan's a wackadoo. Like, you know what I mean? If I think something completely sucks, I'll say it, but I say the same thing about WWE. Nothing is perfect. So he does credit Nick Khan, again, for being like an instrumental factor in him coming back. It's not that Vince McMahon wouldn't have brought him back. It's not like I got the inclination that he wouldn't have, or that Triple H wouldn't have done it, but I think Nick Khan, and again, even I don't know much about him, I think he has like a much bigger say and a bigger pull than I may realize. So, yeah, so there it is. I strongly suggest, again, if you even made it halfway through this video, or you clicked on this video, there's no way that you don't remotely give an ounce of shit for this man. That is CM Punk. 13-minute video. That's not bad considering, I'm recapping on about an hour and a half. And a lot of this kind of encapsulate, again, it sort of summarizes the gist of the interview. But I truly, truly feel like it's worth a watch. Again, if you're remotely a fan of his. If you are going into this not liking CM Punk to begin with, and you're hoping you're going to like him after this, I don't think you will. I think this is more for somebody who is a huge fan of CM Punk. They want a few things cleared up. They want to know, hey, what really happened there? And was it, as wild as what people made it out to be? And this kind of reassured me now, hearing his side. I truly do believe it. I really, really do believe it. Is he a perfect person? He even says, I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. But I don't think, and I never really did, think that he was nearly as egotistical and as narcissistic as people make him out to be. It's really not that bad. I think he really is legitimately a fairly laid back kind of guy. Respects everybody until they give him a reason to be disrespected. Whereas I'm kind of the opposite. When I say I don't respect people, I'm very just neutral until I get to know people. But yeah. So anyways, I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. Otherwise, it's going to end up being longer than the actual interview itself. And for anybody who knows me remotely will know that that's quite possible. I have it in me to do that. But the moment I start feeling like I'm going like this, and I'm starting to come back around and backtrack and start repeating stuff, and I'm kind of going in a circle, and I'm only once in a while adding a new piece of information, going a circle, I don't know what the hell all this is. I know what I mean, and you might know what I mean. It's time for me to just pull the plug. So that's where I'm stopping it. I want to try to, like I said, on my channel, not forcibly, but I do want to try and force myself in a positive way, in a positive connotational way, if that even makes any sense. It does to me, to make my channel a lot more active than just, here's what happened on Monday Night Raw. Here's what happened on SmackDown. So I played 2K24 last week, and it was pretty cool. And then that's it. No, I want to try and really, really find stuff that I'm passionate about. I'm never going to upload a video just for the hell of uploading it, but I am definitely going to dig into some stuff. And when I found out about this, I just had to jump all over it. And again, I found out about this because of Monday Night Raw. When Michael Cole was talking about Rhea Ripley that was with Ariel Helwani. His name is Ariel, right? I keep calling him Ariel. I hope it's Ariel. I don't really know much about him because, like I said, did I already say this? I had a negative attitude about this guy. I didn't like him, and I didn't even know him. I heard some stuff about with him and Dana White, and I just kind of like, how could he do that? Again, I just kind of threw him under the bus. Didn't even know anything about him, and as an interviewer, I have to admit I'm very jealous because he gets to interview all these amazing people. And he's really good at listening and not constantly interrupting people. I think this guy is great. I really, really do. And I'm glad that I found him. Like I said, he predominantly does MMA stuff, hence MMA fighting. WWE is not MMA, completely different sport. But he still has these guests on. He's got the Bret Hart thing in the back. Like, it's really nice. So if it wasn't for that and then me Googling it, and then ironically or coincidentally rather, I came across finding out that CM Punk had been on the show as well, I was like, oh shit. I was like, I got to go to it and then make a video on it because I'd like to think maybe 1 or 2 people are going to watch this that had no idea that this was a thing, and they so potentially happen to be a huge CM Punk fan. So I don't mind extending the video now because I feel like I'm not going in a circle. I sidetracked it off. I was starting to, and then I just found another path, and it's done. Thumbs up if you like the video. It does greatly help support the channel with the algorithm, so they say. If you didn't like the video, that's okay. Go ahead, give it a thumbs down. I'll bend it in half and twist it. I'll break it off in your ass. And if you want to subscribe to the channel, exactly. You know what's up. And if not, that's cool. I get it. Thanks for stopping by anyways. Take care, and perhaps if I'm lucky, I'll see some of you in the next one. Never be shy to comment down below what you would like me to cover. It takes the workload off of me of researching stuff, going, what should I talk about? And I don't always know what people want to hear. I'm making videos based on what I want to talk about, hoping that you share the same interest on this specific subject matter that I'm covering. But if there's something you want me to cover, specifically, anything. What do I think of The Undertaker's reign coming to an end? Should it have ended? Should it have been somebody else? Anything. Could be even from AEW. What do I think of Sting retiring? Anything. Doesn't just have to be WWE. Not one of those people. Take care. And until next time, bye for now.